Greetings, super speedy heroes out there. Duuz-Diz-Din here with a review of The Flash. And before I get into any details, I want to just off the bat say that this is a movie that I'm a little mixed on. So spoilers incoming if you haven't seen this movie yet for any reason yet. With most reviews I do, it's either that I focus on certain moments throughout the movie, or the characters are the things that really pull me in. With this movie, it's all about the moment, and the moments have various ups and downs. There's a seriousness to the movie at times that is actually really good and fairly inspiring in a lot of places. But when it comes to the humor, it feels like a bit of a mixed bag, especially for me, where I can see some people finding a lot of humor in it. I myself just wasn't getting the laughs that I thought I might in some places. Take, for example, how the movie starts off. Barry Allen's daily life. He's late for work, he's going to his usual coffee place to get some food, there's a new person at the desk, and suddenly he's being called to an emergency for Batman. Hilarity ensues, but I don't know, a lot of the humor just was not vibing for me. And it became kind of hard to tell if I just have a bias because of Ezra Miller in this movie, or maybe I personally just didn't find it funny. Me, I tend to be a little bit more lenient about a lot of things. There are things that some people don't find too humorous that I find hilarious, and things that I'll cry at that other people will feel nothing for. They'll feel completely cold to. So it kind of threw me off that I couldn't really get into this movie the way I wanted to. There's just this awkwardness to a lot of the humor that was going on that just threw me at a lot of turns. Like the moment when Barry's about to run off and he's getting into his pose, which I'm just like, dude, just run. And then the fans are like yelling at him and stuff. I mean, chuckle worthy, but I don't know, it was the first warning sign that, oh no, I don't think I'm gonna really enjoy this movie the way I was hoping I would. Barry Allen's running animation looks very different here. Whereas in the Zack Snyder films, it very much looked like he was running, as silly as his running is and still is. Here, it felt more like he was being propelled by the Speed Force itself, and the running was kind of almost arbitrary in terms of the movement, which I kind of vibed with. I like the idea that, the Speed Force is what's propelling him, protecting him, stuff like that. Barry is sent to Gotham to respond to a crisis where I guess the son of Falcone, is it Albert from The Long Halloween, I'm wondering? I'm not really clear, but he had gone in and taken something. I don't think we ever really discovered, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention to what exactly he stole, but it's some kind of toxin, some kind of dangerous chemical agent he took from a hospital. It set off some detonation that created a massive sinkhole in front of the hospital. So while Bruce is off chasing the bad guys, Barry has to be there to save whoever he can and, clean things up, make sure things don't get worse. And man, the structural integrity of this hospital. Just that one, there's a section of the hospital that's being held up by like this one pillar. And I'm just like, why would you design it like this? Like, especially the way it collapses. I know fiction, buildings fall apart in unnatural ways from things that normally they wouldn't fall apart from, but man, the way this thing was collapsing, I'm just like, man, the structural integrity of this building is shit. And there's a whole scene where Barry has to save these babies who are falling out of a window and stuff, as well as a nurse who was trying to protect them, and a therapy dog. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh god, not the babies! But it's in this scene that one of the biggest problems with this movie really kind of reared its ugly head for me. The CGI is bad. It's bad. I've said it before, I can be pretty forgiving on a lot of fronts, but the CGI is bad, especially during that scene. Those babies, man, you go from live action baby that looks cute as a button to CG baby that looks like, oh god, let them fall, don't touch them, they're obviously possessed. And the CGI when Barry is in his suit, he looks like a bobblehead, man. Just an uncanny, unnatural bobblehead, and it throws me off so much. And I feel like I'm supposed to be watching that scene with bated breath, but I'm just like, I'm kind of ready for this scene to end. The scene is going on too long. I'm kind of done. Can we move on? Oddly enough, Batman chasing Falcone and his goons through the city was intense. Though, I gotta say, the problem of, man, there's a lot of collateral damage. I'm pretty sure some people died along the way during this chase kind of came up again. Although, in the Batman with the car chase with the Penguin, it's kind of par for the course, because I'm like, okay, some people died during that car chase. But man, the one in this movie was like, dude. And even a surprise cameo from Wonder Woman to help save the day at the end, which was pretty fun. Though, they do the lasso of truth gag with Barry and Bruce, and it just, again, it's another moment that feels like I should have found it funny, but I really didn't. And I hate that feeling. I'm like, man, I love a good joke. I love to roll with a good joke. But I feel like such a downer here, because I'm just like, okay, ready for the next scene. And the way Barry is played in this movie, he feels like such a sad sack, which is understandable. You know, this version of Barry, he's, I think he's an intern only, or something. He comes, no, he's a forensic scientist, right? He's not an intern, I think. And he has these two intern friends who are obnoxious, but, his dad's been framed for the murder of his mother. We have no reverse flash shenanigans going on in here. It's just, his mother was murdered, his dad was blamed. And Barry has become a forensic scientist in order to, maybe find some clues to maybe exonerate his father. And Bruce is able to bring him some footage that was corrupted, but once the footage is fixed a little bit, unfortunately, his dad, who had gone to the store, right before that would have been his alibi for the murder of Barry's mother, he never looks up and he's wearing a baseball cap, so, they can't use it. So with his father about to pretty much be sent up the river, it's just like, it's understandable that he's very jaded and sad. The thing is that Barry was so peppy in the Justice League film that it's just like, okay, I feel like either it's just because he's getting closer to his dad fully being past the point of no return that he's in such a depressive state. I mean, he does have his comedic elements, like when he tries to talk up Bruce, he still has, like, trying to be friend with Bruce, and yet when other people try to be friendly towards him, like a moment with Iris, that felt a little off to me. He's just so awkward. Like, he doesn't want Fred. In the situation with Iris, the moment in here kind of fixes a little bit what happened in Zack Snyder's Justice League, where you had the moment where Iris is almost about to be hit, and Barry comes in and is, protecting her, and he gazes longingly at her, and it was like such a weird moment, like, but no, it's like, they knew each other in college, he had a crush on her, and it's obvious she has a bit of a crush on him, so it's like a mutual feeling, so that bumps down the creepiness factor of those movies just a smidge. But later, Barry in his grief, he runs, and, he's running fast and fast. I actually kind of like the way that Barry stumbles into wanting to, go back in time and fix things. Because with the Flashpoint comics and the movie, Barry just does it. There's no real lead up to it. He just does it at some point. It's like, okay, it's always kind of weird, like, what the hell, Barry? CW did it okay, but I kind of vibe with the way it worked out here the most, because Barry, and the way it's depicted is both cool and odd, because you see these multiples of people that he's, meets along the timeline and stuff like that, and it's in this circular sphere, where as he runs, the moments fast forward or rewind. It's a cool concept. It's just like, it's almost like creating a alternative to the cosmic treadmill. An interesting idea, but just the CGI again just kind of throws me a bit. And especially when you get a big set piece towards the end that I'll talk about later, it's just like, your use of CGI for real people's faces is, ooh, you guys were ambitious with this one. You guys were ambitious. But I love the fact that he finds that he can do this. He, because he talks about how in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he went back like a second. A few seconds at most. Here, he's like going back, like he can control it. And he he doesn't do anything. He goes and talks with Bruce about it. It's just like, I mean, dude, I could save my parents, your parents, so much could be saved and changed and this, that, and the other. And Bruce is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be consumed with the past, because that can be dangerous, and I know a thing or two about being consumed by your past, and, it's what makes us who we are now, but at the same time, it really damaged my life doing it like that. And I love the advice from Bruce. Like, Ben Affleck plays Bruce, like, spot on perfect here. Like, I loved him here more than anything else I've seen him in this role. Like, dude, man, I wish I got more of this. The one joke with Wonder Woman aside, and Barry is talked out of it. But later meeting with Iris, he comes to the realization that, okay, don't make a big change, like straight up save his mom, make a small change. Like, the whole reason why his dad went to the store to get that can of tomatoes is like, okay, make it so that the mom picks up those tomatoes earlier on, and that shouldn't change too much. So he does that, and he sees that he has this whole entire lifetime with his parents, and he's like just going through the moments and seeing them depicted in the sphere up to his 18th birthday, and then suddenly this dark flash appears out of nowhere, and oh, dude, this thing was intimidating when it first showed up. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is that? And it just comes in and decks Barry in the face, like, he caught you slipping, bam, and just knocks him out of the time sphere. And I'm just like, whoa, that was awesome. And you don't see that guy for most of the rest of the movie till the end. I'm like, dang it, I thought he'd be like hunting Barry or something like that. But no, he's a major plot point. So Barry ends up in an alternate timeline around the time of his 18th birthday, and he ends up having dinner with his parents, and it's very nice and sweet. And then Flashpoint Barry shows up, and it's just like, okay, gotta do something about this. So he stops his other self. At first he tries to stop him, and he's masked and all that, but his Flashpoint self unmasks him, and they talk, and Barry shows off his powers and this, that, and the other. And I gotta say, regular Barry and Flashpoint Barry, it both is a hit and miss that they try to contrast their two personalities some. Barry is made fully into the wet blanket. Like, any comedic moments with the regular Barry are almost gone to a certain degree, whereas Flashpoint Barry is just nothing but the yucks, and it's hit or miss in some cases. It's usually the subtler joke that land with me the most, but it's an interesting way of going about things, because this wasn't a thing in the Flashpoint story. Barry takes the place of the Barry who would have lived through all those events. But I kind of like the idea that there would be a separate Barry, because I've always been of the belief that, hey, if you were to create a clone of yourself who lived through certain moments up to a point, after that point, you would have two separate experiences. You wouldn't be one person, you'd be two separate people, because you start experience things. And as time would go on, you'd experience more and more and more and more. It's just like twins. Yeah, they might have a lot of similarities in how they were raised because of the fact that they're twins, but past a certain point, they start doing a lot of things differently. Their diets end up changing, the way they live their lives, whether they work out or not. Like, a lot of things change because of the people they meet along the way and the influences in their lives. And that's reflected in this version of Barry, who didn't live with any tragedy. He's nothing but jolly. He's happy. He's fun-loving. He's happy-go-lucky. And he's even dating Iris, something that Barry is envious of. But Barry realizes that, oh, this is the day I was supposed to receive my power. And Barry is not interning at the police department or anything like that. So they have to break in, because Barry is worried that, oh, if you don't get those powers, maybe I won't get those powers, which is like, that's not how that works, but he's panicking. So they recreate the experiment, but when Flashpoint Barry realizes, oh, I gotta get electrocuted? No thanks. And the two Barrys fight, and the lightning strikes regular Barry and then passes through him to Flashpoint Barry, and that's like it transfers the power over to Flashpoint Barry, and our Barry loses his ability. So naturally there's panic, hijinks ensue. Something that keeps happening a lot throughout this movie are like the needle drops for running scenes, which would be cool, but I don't know, in certain moments it feels like, I don't know, I feel like they should have contrasted things. Our Barry has a lot of seriousness behind when he runs, but Flashpoint Barry has the music when he runs. That way it shows that, different. The Barry who takes things seriously when he does things because, he's all about the great power with great responsibility, yada yada yada. And Flashpoint Barry is just like, cool, superpowers, do-do-do-do-do. And there's some funny moments with that. And things take a turn when Zod arrives. And we even find out that Barry did try to save people in Gotham when Zod arrived, but he was still new to his powers, and at best he was able to save one kid. Although, when the events happen in this timeline, and that same kid is in the same situation, we do see him and the father that Barry wasn't able to save, of like, oh, Barry was able to save that one child, but because Barry didn't run in to save them this time around, both the child and his father died. I thought there was going to be something poignant about that, but I don't think they ever came up again. I almost think they were just reusing the scene. It's hard to say. But when Barry talks to other Barry about the fact they need the Justice League or Superman or something, it's revealed that they don't exist in this timeline, which sends Barry freaking out because he's like, okay, who's gonna save the day then if there's no Superman or this, that, or the other? But then it's revealed there is a Batman. And when they go to Wayne Manor, it's different. They go in and they're greeted by Michael Keaton's incredible stunt double, because some of the movements Michael Keaton does in this is just like, yeah, no. No. But apparently he got rid of all crime in Gotham and his life kind of fell apart, which is kind of tracks. If you've seen the Batman movie from, after the 89 one, yeah, it's Batman Returns. I was like, is it Batman Returns? When you see him in Batman Returns, he's just sitting glumly, almost like waiting for the bat signal to go off, like that's the only meaning he really has to his life, because so many other romances have kind of fallen through. It kind of continues that through line that Bruce has dedicated himself so much to saving Gotham. Now that Gotham's saved, what else does he have? It's really kind of depressing. But after a show of power, he does believe, okay, Barry, you effed up the timeline because you screwed around with time in such a way that it didn't just alter the future, it altered the past. So you have a different version of Bruce Wayne, a different version of this, that, and the other. Ripples that rippled out through a past, present, and future, and all that good stuff. And in a weird twist, Bruce doesn't initially want to help them. It's just like, dude, come on. Alien invasion, bro. So the two Barrys head down to the Batcave. We have some tense moments between the two Barrys. Our Barry is very reluctant to actually tell Flashpoint Barry what happens to their mom and why he's even there and stuff like that. But, you later find out that Flashpoint Barry kind of put two and two together the more they talked about Mom. With a bit of a speech, our Barry's able to convince Batman to help them out to find Superman. And they come upon the fact that, something fell around the same time Superman was supposed to arrive. It was captured by the Russians. So they head over. Great shot with the bat plane and all that stuff. A bit of a fun infiltration of a Russian base, although, Bruce leaves them alone way too often. Our Barry not having his powers, Flashpoint Barry having his powers and being really kind of stupid with them. But when they come upon where Superman should be, it's actually Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. And I kind of like this change as well. It's a very interesting direction. And the actress for Supergirl looks good in that Supergirl suit, I'll say that much. But not just as perviness, although, again, very beautiful woman. I don't know, she plays the angry Kara very well, because in New 52, Kara was made to be a lot more angry about a lot of things, world being destroyed, this, that, and the other, so much has changed. I can't really say I blame her, but I kind of like the way she plays the character. So they free her from the Russian base, she utterly destroys the soldiers once she gets into some sunlight. They take her back to Wayne Manor. They tell her that, hey, we were looking for Kal-El, but she was sent to Earth in order to be his protector, which kind of begs the reason, was that also the case in the main universe? Were we supposed to get a Supergirl? Is she still locked up in a Russian gulag or something? Questions. But she ultimately decides not to help them against Zod because, humanity locked her away. Again, very justifiable anger from Kara. But we have this good scene where she goes over to where Zod is meeting with the Earth Army forces, and because they didn't bring him Kal-El, he just starts slaughtering them, which immediately makes Supergirl go, you know what? Nah. I'm angry, but I'm not letting an entire planet be wiped out angry, and she heads back, which I thought was great. It's just like, yeah, she was angry in the moment, but like, when she sees people just being slaughtered, it's just like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not about that. This guy's crazy and he needs to go down. Meanwhile, the two Barrys and Batman are trying to give our Barry back his powers, and in a scene that harkens back to the Flashpoint series, movies, comics, whatever, where Barry's strapped to an electric chair with the chemicals around him to be doused and stuff, and it's an intense scene. And Supergirl even arrives after it doesn't work and it just fries him and brings him up to the lightning in order to give him another jolt. And at first it kind of really looks like he's dead, but he comes back to life with his powers. They decide to team up, they rush in to fight against Zod, and it does not go well. It goes well at first, but the edge that Superman kind of had was that he had years with his powers and ability. Kara, not so much. Not to mention you have a fresh-faced Barry in Flashpoint Barry, who, you know, is kind of getting the hang of his abilities at first, but it's not to the degree that it's just like, okay, he's a force to be reckoned with. Because these Kryptonians are still strong and stuff. Zod's forces are giving them the business. And Flashpoint Barry even receives like a cut in several places and shrapnel cut into him. And after Bruce and Kara end up dying in the process of the battle, Flashpoint Barry wants to go back in order to save them, which our Barry goes along with at first. But when they go back, Bruce and Kara just end up dying again, which is very in line with the Flashpoint story. You know, a lot of Barry's allies in that timeline end up dying. It is a slaughter. People die left and right. There's not as many characters, but a lot of characters still die. And as Flashpoint Barry becomes more and more desperate to save everyone, he keeps getting like this metal cut into him, like blades from the various Kryptonians that, you know, get cut into his body, but he doesn't pull them out and allow his body to heal. He just lets them stay in, and it's pretty hardcore. He even kills Fiora at one point with one of the blades. But whereas Arbery starts to realize, I don't think we can change this. It just keeps going wrong. Whereas Flashpoint Barry's just trying again and again and again and again and again and again. He just keeps rushing in and rushing back and rushing in and rushing back. That's when the Dark Flash appears again and attacks our Barry. And then Flashpoint Barry rushes in and tries to save our Barry, only for it to reveal that the Dark Flash is Flashpoint Barry in the future. He spent years trying to save everyone, and he's still desperate to do it. This character is actually very similar to a lot of different versions of the Flash. He's kind of like Daniel West, the brother of Iris West, who gains Flash powers. And during the course of things, he gets metal from this monorail stuck to him, and he uses that as a weapon. The other Dark Flash, which was Wally, who had something catastrophic happen, and he went back in time and became this Dark Avenger and stuff. And then Dark Barry, who also had bad stuff happen to him, and he became a Dark Avenger and was willing to kill people. Like, Flash has had some dark versions of himself before. Although the Blue Lightning, even Dark Wally had blue lightning, I think, too. Or was it white? And because of all the tampering with time, it starts to cause problems. Something very akin to in Marvel with the incursions. If you've ever read the lead up to Secret Wars, Everything Dies and all that, the incursions were where two different alternate universes would collide in with each other. And we see that here, where we get to see the old black and white, old-timey Superman live action universe, where there's even a Jay Garrett there, which I thought was kind of cool. Christopher Reeve's Superman, who even meets up with the Supergirl who was supposed to tie in with his movie. Even Nicolas Cage's Superman Lives was featured, which I'm just like, what the hell? A very interesting thing to include, but I mean, I'm not mad at it. That was kind of fun. I mean, even a glimpse of Adam West Batman, like some cool stuff. I mean, if you've watched any of the Arrowverse stuff, this isn't anything new, but it was kind of cool. They still did the uncanny CGI stuff in order to, have a lot of these characters depicted. And if you look too close, you can kind of see that it's just like, okay, something is off about these people's faces. Do not stare too hard at these people's faces because it is obvious something is off here. And some of those universes start to collide in with each other and stuff like that. So Barry's just like, we gotta stop. You're destroying everything. But Dark Flash admits it's just like, oh, I pushed you out of the time stream so that I could get my powers, time loop and all that, so I can make sure that I could save everyone. This time we can do it together. Barry says no. Dark Flash goes in to kill him. Flashpoint Barry goes in to saves him, ends up getting impaled. He can't heal. Dark Flash disintegrates. Barry is left cradling his other self. Because something that was actually really nice in this movie was a lot of the camaraderie that was built up between the two Barry. Flashpoint Barry, grew really close to his other counterpart. Despite the friction that they had, there was a lot of love there. There was a love like a brother. And though he started going down a dark path, he still had the good heart. We even got to see that when our Barry's mother was killed, he was working out a problem he was obsessing over, but he got sidetracked and obsessed over his mom. Flashpoint Barry, he continued to obsess over that problem. He didn't really know how to let things go. It was kind of an all or nothing. Either he cares too much or he doesn't care at all kind of situation. But he still cared. He cared for that version of Barry. And with everything pretty much being destroyed, our Barry realizes he's gotta go back. And so he goes back to take the can out of his mom's cart. He actually meets up with her and in a disguise, he talks to her and kind of comes off as someone who's going through a hard time. And in a very sweet moment, she recognizes that he's someone hurting, whereas most people would just be like, okay, whatever, weirdo. She recognizes a hurting person and she gives him a hug. A very sweet gesture that really shows what a kind person his mom was. And in super speed, he tells her he loves her and this, that, and the other, and it's a very beautiful moment. Really well acted, but a great moment. He takes the can of tomatoes, but he realizes he can do something else. So as he goes back to his timeline, everything's pretty much back the way it's supposed to be, but with one major change. During the day of his dad's trial, we see that the footage this time showed that his dad looks up when he goes for the tomatoes, because Barry decided that, well, if I can't save my mom with one can of tomatoes, I'll just move where the tomatoes are. That way his dad's face will be in full view of the camera, and thus his dad is exonerated. And it seems like Barry's done it. He might not have been able to save his mom, but he saved his dad with no repercussion. That is until Bruce Wayne shows up and it's George Clooney. I thought that was actually pretty funny. It's like, oh god. And Barry's just like, oh no, what did I do? A very cheeky ending. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, with everything that we'd seen in that last third of the movie, how serious things went, to suddenly have that comedic moment at the end, just like, does that do anything for me? And again, I felt like a wet blanket because I'm just like, I feel like I shouldn't be judging this as much as I am. And we even have this throwaway scene with Aquaman showing that he's still the same in that universe, probably in preparation for his movie. But he's just drunk. And nothing really even happens in it, to the point where I'm just like, I even filmed this. So yeah, if you can't tell, I had ups, downs, lefts, rights with this movie. I don't hate it, but I don't absolutely love it. It's one of those things where if someone else wanted to watch it, I'd watch it with them, why not? Get their opinion. But I don't know if I'd willingly seek this movie out again, that's the thing. And I don't know if that's just the whole situation with Ezra Miller talking, or if it's just more than that. Because I've been able to look past stuff like that for other people before, and solely judge their performance, and Ezra Miller has some great moments in this. The fact that he's playing opposite himself for most of this movie, that's a testament to his ability. I don't know, just something about this movie didn't vibe with me the way I wanted it to. And I kind of hate that. I hate that I couldn't enjoy this movie the way I wanted to. Between this, Shazam, and Black Adam, these DC movies have they still haven't managed to really fully drag me in. Although I enjoyed Shazam and Black Adam a little bit more than this, I think. Because even though I had the nostalgia of Michael Keaton, I've seen the 89 Batman movie so many times, as well as Batman Return. And Michael Keaton wasn't bad in this, it's just I wasn't vibing with a lot of things going on here. And that really kind of sucks. There was even a point where I just kind of stopped associating this Michael Keaton Batman with the original Michael Keaton Batman, just because I wasn't vibing with it, despite understanding where the character wound up. And considering that so much is about to change for DC, I don't know what this says in the long run. Well, yeah, that's just me. I'm kinda lost when it comes to this. Wanted to like it a lot more than I did. Didn't hate it, but didn't love it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about this movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you a little mixed on it? I'd love to hear from you. So like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you later. Till then, bye-bye.